Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Rizzo Lopez. So you came to me because you want to score a 5 on the AP World History exam, huh? Well, let me show you what you can do. The AP World History exam, first of all, you need to know this, that there are two sections. Section 1 contains multiple choice and short answers. Probably one or two short answer questions. Section 2 has a DVQ or document-based question, which is a whole bunch of articles or historical text that you need to read, and then you can from there synthesize into a long answer essay to answer the question that's given at the beginning. And then there's also a long answer in which you need to write about. They will of course give you prompts for the short answer and the long answer. An important change for the 2020 exam is the exclusion of prehistory, which is before 1200 AD. And of course, the scoring guide is from 1 to 5, 1 being the worst and 5 being the best. And in between there, a 3 is a passing grade. And it will focus majority on the major themes and connections throughout history and major landmarks. Not landmarks, but like points in history too. So, here's top 5 tips to score a 5 on the AP exam, AP World History exam. The biggest one is not worrying about prehistory, because now you have much less content to focus with it starting around 1200 AD to the present. So students have less to study, so they are able to get a grasp on it easier. And of course it reduces the stress of teachers, because having to also study and educate the students on things before this time period is quite hard, because there's not much written records that are coherent enough to understand what's happening. Of course, this is a little tip. It helps focus on material that is written recording, allowing students to focus more on other topics, and plus it gives them first-hand stuff like primary sources, primary documents, and what's happening around that time. Number 2 is looking back at old exams and their responses. By there I mean the students' responses. So in order to understand how to score on a 5 on the AP World History exam, you must first find other students that have taken this exam, and see what they did and how they did it. Even going ahead and finding other students that did it and asking them what's their tips, which was the basis of this, because I looked up top 5 ways, and then I got a whole bunch of student and teacher responses. You got to find old responses, probably read through them, understand it, look at the rubrics, and then while also looking at previous stuff, you can also get an understanding of what the exam may ask you to do while looking at these older responses and prompts. And of course, the major key here is picking up on what the questions might be and tricks other students did to ensure that they get a high grade. So instead of working harder, you can just essentially try to imitate or build off what previous students have done. Of course, the slight change is the prehistory part, because previous exams they had to focus on prehistory, so it may be slightly different, it may not. All that we have to do is wait now, but make sure that you practice first. Even if you don't want to look at what other previous people did, making sure that you take time practices or any type of practice for the AP World History exam. It can help you stay calm in the situation and efficient while the exam is on, will give you an edge to a higher score in answering every question. It will also help you build up muscle memory and reflexes. That means they can cut time on bubbling in answers and writing, so you can overlook your work and then understand the material thoroughly, because every second counts, because this entire exam is timed. Number 4, and ye mighty bold and capitalization, reading. So making sure that you read anything, More, of course, the better it is, anything about history will help you understand a piece of writing faster than those who don't. Being able to find a main idea and the meaning of a piece can direct you to answering things correctly and mastering the 5 on the exam. And then in conclusion, it can also help you pick out not main ideas, but like interpret texts. Because of course in the previous slide, looking back at what old exams and their responses, and also not worrying about prehistory now, it makes it easier for you to connect to more present matters on situations based on the context of what the question may be asking you. Of course comes reading, comes focusing. The major idea here is that in order to score 5 is focusing on the transitions and the main ideas of the time period. By this I mean what has changed between time periods. So from the Victorian era, which is around the 1800s if I'm assuming. If I'm wrong, Mr. Cruz can call me out in the comments. I give him the full rights because I do not know my time periods that well. But essentially it's like comparing modern day 2000s to the 1800s. What changed between that time? Of course, a lot of it did, like transportation and communication. That's an example. Because back then, they had horse-drawn carriages, and they had telegraphs. Not even telegraphs. They had to send letters. Well, in today's standard, we have cars, trains, and we also can send anything via text, email. And this also relieves stress because you don't have to learn everything in the time periods. You can focus on the common areas of the questions presented in the exam by looking at previous ones to see what they may ask you. And I already covered this alongside the main ideas and differences of the time period can help you understand quickly what they may be asking and explaining why that may have occurred. Or, yeah. Of course, these are just my opinions. Not even opinions, just these things that I looked up, and they might be useful for me. They might be useful for you. And if you think that you may have something better, go ahead, put it in the comments and see what, and we can compare notes. But of course, here's my sources. This is a student who scored a 5 on the AP World History exam. This is a teacher. This blog right here is a teacher on how she prepared her students. And I'm assuming this site, not even assuming, I read through it, is another student and probably a collaboration between a student and a teacher on how to score it. Preparing teachers to how to teach the curriculum to students. And then of course this one is just some basic information on what the AP World History is about and the scorings. And of course, that brings you to the end of this. So, get ready, scholars. Hit the books hard and make sure that practice every single day, or give yourself a reasonable schedule so that you're able to at least fit in practice every other day, or even all the days if you're that crazy and you really want that 5. Go ahead. I'm not judging.